The moment we've been waiting for since episode 1 of the series is finally here. The Miami Marlins are in the World Series as today we kick things off against the Tampa Bay Rays here with Game 1 in South Beach. The first World Series game for the Marlins since they won it all back in 2003. That was a long time ago, 24 years to be exact. But the Fish are finally back in the Fall Classic with our in-state foes, the Tampa Bay Rays, the defending World Series champions, meeting up with us to crown a winner. Last episode, we had Game 5 of the NLCS. It ended up being a really exciting matchup, going into 12 innings, but we ended up getting the job done. We trailed 4-0, but the offense clutched up with a 3-run homer by Jacob Berry in the 7th. And then we had some guys really play well down the stretch. Luis Robert got on base 5 times. Isaac Stu drove in the game-winning run. Edward Cabrera, the National League MVP, did not have a very good start. He allowed 8 hits over 4 innings. He did do a good job of getting out of jams. However, the bullpen did a fantastic job after that, getting the win, and it's unfortunate for the Cubs because Cade Horton was absolutely fantastic in his postseason debut, but bullpen let him down, and that ultimately ended up being the difference. So as we look at our opponent here, the Tampa Bay Rays, they have been great through the playoffs as they've only lost 3 games through 3 series so far, including beating the Rangers in 6 games in the ALCS. They also swept the number 1 seeded Cleveland Guardians in the previous series, and prior to that, they had a tough 3-game bout with the Boston Red Sox. This Rays team is interesting because on paper, at least throughout the regular season, we were significantly better than them. We won 97 games, the most in baseball, while the Rays only won 84, which is the least amount of wins of any playoff team, albeit tied with the Red Sox and the Rangers. But still, we had a 13-game difference over Tampa Bay throughout the duration of the season. However, I'm still very scared of these guys, and I do genuinely believe this World Series could end up going either way, despite the fact that we have been significantly better than them throughout the season. And simply put, this team plays at their best in the month of October. They only won 84 games this year, but they know when the lights are the brightest, they turn it on. Obviously, they won the World Series last year, and they're back this year with only 3 losses so far in the postseason. The reason why the Rays have been so good throughout the postseason so far is because of their offense. They have hit the ball at an unbelievably high level, and that all starts with Randy Arozarena, who I think at this point we have to refer to him as one of the greatest postseason performers in Major League history. And I know that sounds pretty crazy, but ever since this guy was called up, he has been dominant in the month of October. It started back in 2020 as a rookie when he broke all those records. He's won the AL playoff MVP in each of the last 2 seasons. He's a good regular season player, but come October, he's a different kind of star. They've got other guys like Josh Lowe, well-known child respecter Wander Franco, and Brandon Lau, all playing at a very high level here in the playoffs. Alfredo Herrera, the catcher, he won the World Series MVP last year, and I think he is the best catcher in baseball. He's one of the best defensive catchers in the game, and offensively, he is phenomenal. Big-time power bat. He hits for good contact as well. And they've had other guys like Isaac Paredes and Jonathan Aranda, who have really performed well and stepped up at the bottom of the order. If you look at the Rays team stats throughout the postseason, they're at the top. .295 average, 20 home runs, first in slugging, first in on base. They had the team OPS right around 900. The issue with this Tampa Bay team is their pitching. If you compare our ERA in the playoffs to theirs, they are far apart. And the concern with Tampa Bay is if their pitching is going to be able to hold up. Their rotation is pretty top-heavy. They've got 2 legitimate aces with Shane McClanahan and Shane Baz. McClanahan's probably the best lefty in the game. He had a slightly down season this year, but overall, he has been fantastic over the last 6-7 years. And Shane Baz broke out onto the scene this year in his age 27 season, leading the American League in pitching war. They've got enough talent behind those guys, I think, to be able to hold up. Taj Bradley and Tyler Glasnow are both very solid arms, and they haven't even needed to use Kevin Gausman throughout the postseason. But there's another reliable veteran pitcher. Their bullpen is largely made of former failed top prospects who have converted into relievers. Guys like Luis Patino, Sixto Sanchez, the former Marlin, and Justin Dunn, once upon a time, were all great prospects. It hasn't worked out, but leave it to the Rays to be able to fix them. They've got plenty of talent in the back end with guys like Jason Adam and, of course, the former Marlin, Devin Williams, who has played pretty well since being traded to Tampa Bay at the deadline. Let's take a look at where our team is going into the World Series. And obviously, one of the big storylines throughout the year has been all the injuries. However, we are fully healthy for the first time since probably the first week of the year. And that includes Bo Bichette, who got hurt back in September. He hasn't played yet in the postseason, but he will be available for the World Series. I will say he did perform poorly over the last month or so before he got hurt, so hopefully he'll be able to pick it up. We're going to add him to the postseason roster, and we will remove Gennaro Miller because, simply put, we have used Miller less than the other 26 players on the postseason roster. So this is what the lineup is going to look like for the World Series, and we're going to be adjusting it game by game. But this is what I have it set to, at least for right now. Bo Bichette sliding in there at shortstop. I'm not entirely sure whose playing time he's going to take. I would feel bad for it being Jacob Berry because I think he's been arguably our second best position player in the postseason behind Luis Robert. But who else is it going to be? I get somebody like Brian De La Cruz who's only hitting 136, but I feel like we've got to trust our star players. Speaking of trusting our stars, we're going to be putting a lot onto Edward Cabrera and Sandy Alcantara's plates. If we win the World Series, it's going to be because these two guys pitch like the aces we know they are. Cabrera will be on the mound for Game 1. Alcantara will be on the mound for Game 2. And, of course, we hope that Springs and possibly Meyer, if we use him, will be able to produce. And the bullpen has been pretty good throughout the postseason. Everybody's allowed at least one run, but everybody, for the most part, has been pretty solid. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get this show on the road. I do want to point out, I'm only going to be playing Game 1 today. I know normally I would play 2 games here, but since this is the World Series, this is what we have been going for since the first episode of the series, I feel like this first game, standing alone, is only appropriate. And then next episode, we'll probably do both games 2 and 3. Look at this, a sight to behold here at Lone Depot Park in Miami, Florida. The fans have made it out in bunches tonight as the Miami Marlins play in their first World Series game in a quarter century, and they will be facing off against a team who won the World Series last year. These two teams have been great in the playoffs, and they've done it in different ways. The Marlins are 7-2 after their first round bye. The Rays are 9-3. Tampa Bay has really relied on their offense. They're hitting the ball at an elite level, while the Marlins have been led by their pitching, specifically this guy, Edward Cabrera. The National League MVP and Cy Young gets an opportunity to cap off one of the greatest pitching seasons in the history of Major League Baseball, hopefully with a couple good performances here in the World Series. Now, before Game 1, we got some injury news, and it's not particularly good. During warm-ups, Alec Bohm hurt his elbow. He will be available to come off the bench, but he will not make the start today. Bohm is one of the few guys on this team who has played in a World Series. Everybody here in our lineup has never gotten a World Series at bat until today. Let's take a look at Edward Cabrera, the NL MVP and Cy Young, who through 3 postseason starts has been quite good. He was a little bit shaky, though, in Game 5 against Chicago, and he's allowed more than a hit per inning in the postseason. If he can clean up with allowing base runners, he should be fine, but it's going to be a challenge against such a great offense, starting with Randy Arozarena, and we are off in the 2027 World Series as he flies out to center, and it's caught by Luis Robert, who's been the Marlins' best player throughout the postseason. Arozarena and Robert have both had historic postseason runs for their respective squads. There's a look at the Rays lineup once again. Here is Josh Lowe, the center fielder. He will ground this one to second. Good play by Jazz Chisholm for out number 2. Quick start here in the first inning for Edward Cabrera, who looks to retire the side against well-known child predator Wander Franco with a full count. He pops this one up into the shallow outfield. Bo Bichette is under it, and he will make the play. A quick 1-2-3 inning for Edward Cabrera to kick off the 2027 World Series. Let's take a look at Tampa Bay's pitcher, Shane McClanahan. McClanahan leads all pitchers in pitching WAR throughout the postseason. That includes Edward Cabrera, who is in second for what it's worth. McClanahan has started in 4 postseason games, and he's been really good, but he's had the opposite issues of Cabrera. He is not allowing a lot of base runners. However, when guys are on, they're more susceptible to scoring. So while he's been good like Edward Cabrera, he's allowing less base runners, but he's allowing more runs. Obviously, runs are the key. Hopefully, the Marlins can get quite a few. That starts with Stu, who grounds it up the middle. Good play by McClanahan for the first out. Isaac Stu, at just 19 years old, hitting in the leadoff spot in the World Series. How cool must that feel? That'll bring up Luis Robert, who has had an unbelievable postseason for the Marlins. With him being a free agent in the offseason, he will certainly cash out after a big month of October as he rips this one into right field near the wall, and it is caught for the second out of the inning by Zach Veen, who's been banged up for the Rays, but he is healthy enough to play. Jazz Chisholm is now up, the face of this organization, lefty on lefty, as it's a grounder to first, and Matt Thaiss makes the play. McClanahan retires the side here in the bottom of the first. Quick start for both aces as they go through the order 1, 2, 3. We'll see if either team can get a base runner on here in the second. Brandon Lau is going to be up first here for Tampa Bay, and he rips this one well into center field. Luis Robert at the track, at the wall, it's caught. That could have been dangerous for sure, and with the fence in center field being pushed back, that could have been a home run if not for the pitcher-friendly dimensions. Alfredo Herrera, the World Series MVP a year ago, strikes out on the curveball. First K of the night for Cabrera. Now with Zach Veen, liner to first. Good play by Woody Landry. And Edward Cabrera, again, retires the side after allowing a lot of base runners against Chicago. So far, so good for Cabrera. He's got 6 up and 6 down. Woody Landry strikes out on the fastball. Good start for McClanahan here in the bottom of the second. Look who's up now. It's Bo Bichette. His first at-bat of the postseason. It's a grounder to second. Pretty uneventful start for Bichette as he is out. That's Jonathan Aranda, who has really stepped up for Tampa Bay here in the postseason, making the play. Jesus Sanchez now, swinging a miss on the curveball. 6 up, 6 down for McClanahan. No base runners yet for either side as both aces continue to roll. Into the third, Matt Thaiss into right field. That'll drop for a hit. Finally, a base runner, the first of the game for either team. Thaiss at first with a single, and the Rays start the inning with a runner aboard. Big opportunity for the bottom of the lineup. That starts with Aranda, who strikes out on the sinker. Big pitch for Cabrera. Isaac Paredes, grounded to first. Woody tags the base. Throw to short is in time. Double play. Good job by Woody Landry to tag the base and then launch the throw on the money. Good tag there by Bichette as well for a 3-6 double play as we go bottom 3. Nick Fortes is up. Sharp liner to first. Good play by Thaiss to prevent the Marlins from getting their first hit of the game, as the perfecto and no-hitter is still alive. Until now, Brian De La Cruz with a single into center. First hit of the game for the Marlins. And fittingly, it's been by the guy who is hitting 130 across the postseason. But we know how good Brian De La Cruz is, and I really think here in the World Series, he will elevate his game. Isaac Stu now, full count. Hits this one sharply into right field, but it will be caught by Zach Veen. Both teams get a hit in the third inning, but nothing more. This game continues to be a pitching duel with 2 of the best pitchers in baseball living up to the moment. Into the fourth now. Top of the order up for the Rays. It starts with a Rosarena. Sharp grounder to third. 107 off the bat. Good play there by Jacob Berry to get the out. That ball was a rocket nearly right by him. Josh Lowe now, 1-2. Goes down looking on the curveball. Good pitch for Edward Cabrera, his third strikeout of the night. He has really relied on strikeouts throughout the postseason, but not today. A lot of balls in play. Speaking of, Wander Franco with a grounder to second. Jazz Chisholm makes the play. Another 1-2-3 inning for Edward Cabrera. With all the hype he's gotten being the MVP so far through 4 innings, he has absolutely delivered. Bottom 4, Luis Robert rips this one into the gap. That's going to drop. It'll one-hop off the wall for a double. The Marlins start the inning with a runner in scoring position and a perfect opportunity to finally get some runs on the board. One away here for Woody Landry. He is behind 1-2, and he's chasing the slider. He was aggressive there, looking to protect, and it backfires. Full count now for Bo Bichette, and he skies this one into center field. Josh Lowe is under it, and he will make the grab. Luis Robert is in scoring position with nobody out, and the Marlins were unable to drive him in. Through 4, it remains scoreless. Will either team finally put themselves on the board here in the 5th? Well, this is a good start for Tampa Bay. Brandon Lau hits this one into the opposite field, beating the shift perfectly, and the Rays will start the inning with a double. We'll see if, unlike the Marlins, they can, capitalize and get some runs. That'll bring up Alfredo Herrera, and he goes down chasing the slider. Good pitch there by Cabrera, looking to hold this run off the board. Zach Veen now sharply hit to third. Good charge by Berry. If that gets by him, a run scores probably, and Tampa Bay's on the board. We'll see if Cabrera can get out of the inning as he faces off against Days. The 1-2. Days rips this one past Berry and Bichette into left. Run heads home. The throw from De La Cruz is off the mark. And Tampa Bay strikes first here in the 5th inning. Matt Thaiss with his second hit of the game. It's an RBI single, and the Rays lead 1-0. Jonathan Aranda goes down looking on the slider, and they will only get one. With the lack of offense this game has seen, though, I don't think Tampa Bay is going to complain with the result of that inning as they finally drive in a run, and now Miami looks to respond as they trail. Jesus Sanchez leads things off, rips it up the middle, and Wander Franco makes an incredible play. Throw to first in time. The Marlins offense has been the prey today, and Wander Franco, per usual, is the predator. Jacob Berry now crushes this ball into center field. Josh Lowe will not make the diving grab as the ball rolls all the way to the wall. It's a 1-out double for Jacob Berry, and the Marlins have a runner in scoring position and another opportunity to score and hopefully tie the game. That'll bring up Nick Fortes. Count is even 1-1. Hits it sharply to third. Good play by Isaac Paredes. That one had a chance to get by him for a hit. I will say, even though the Marlins have not hit the ball well, they've been a little bit unlucky because Tampa Bay's defense, especially their infield, has been really good. De La Cruz checks his swing on a full count, and that'll wrap up the 5th. 5 scoreless for Shane McClanahan as the Rays lead it 1-0. We'll see if they can add some more offense here in this 6th and look to extend their lead. That'll start with the third baseman, Isaac Paredes. The 1-2 chases the low fastball. Good pitch by Cabrera. That will bring up the top of the order. Randy Arozarena launches this ball into left field, and this one is out of here. A solo home run for Arozarena, his 5th of the postseason, and the Tampa Bay Rays lead it 2-0. That's just the second home run that Cabrera has allowed throughout the duration of the postseason. His first back in Game 1 of the NLCS from Luis Garcia. Big swing for Randy Arozarena as the Rays double their lead. Cabrera looks to get back into the swing of things as he strikes out Josh Lowe. Now against Wander Franco. Rips this one over to second base. And Jazz Chisholm makes the play. Big inning, though, for the Rays. They had another run off of the solo homer by Arozarena. And it's a 2-0 ball game. Let's go bottom 6. Can the Marlins offense get anything going here? McClanahan obviously still in the game as he faces off against Luis Robert. That was the perfect pitch. A hanging curveball up and away. And he grounds out to short. I thought that was a really good opportunity for him to get back on base. Jazz Chisholm now hits it up the middle. Aranda, easy play, and McClanahan retires the side here in this 6th. He looks unstoppable right now for Tampa Bay, but with how well Cabrera's pitched for the most part, it's still a ball game. Cabrera's looked a little bit shakier, though, these last couple of innings, but despite that, he will stay in the game. He strikes out Brandon Lau on the fastball. Now Alfredo Herrera, the 2-2, got him on the slider. That slider's been killing Herrera all night. He is striking out 3 times today. Zach Veen hit sharply to first. Woody Landry makes the play, and that'll wrap up the 7th. 1-2-3 inning for Edward Cabrera. Now, with how poorly the Marlins offense has performed, there's a real shot the Marlins are going to need Cabrera to continue to pitch, and I think he's got enough energy to throw at least one more inning. Woody Landry will start things off here in the bottom of the 7th as he rips it into left field for a base hit, beating the shift perfectly, and the Marlins open up the inning with a runner aboard. McClanahan still showing no signs of slowing down, over 100 pitches as Bichette takes a big swing and miss on the circle change. That pitch was right down the middle. That is his pitch. He's got to capitalize. Following pitch, he hits it sharply into center field, but Josh Lowe will make a nice grab near the track for the first out of the inning. Jesus Sanchez now bloops this one into left, and that is going to drop for a hit. For the first time today, the Marlins have multiple runners on base. We'll see if they can finally capitalize here. McClanahan staying in the game for Tampa Bay against Berry, who strikes out on a full count. Nick Fortes would be next up, but the Marlins are going to go to their bench. He didn't get to start today, but his elbow won't keep him out. The most clutch player on the Marlins, it's Alec Boehm up to the plate. 1-1 pitch. And he grounds it right to Franco, flips it over to second, and we are through 7. McClanahan fired up as he's thrown 7 scoreless here in Game 1 of the World Series. So with the offense not adding runs, Cabrera's going to stay in the game here in the 8th inning. The Marlins are going to ride it out with the best pitcher in baseball as he faces off against Matt Thaiss, who has half of Tampa Bay's hits today. Luckily this time he does not get another one, as it's a fly out into left, caught by Brian De La Cruz. That'll bring up Jonathan Aranda. Hits it up the middle. What a play. Edward Cabrera snagging that ball for the second out of the inning, robbing him of the base hit. Isaac Paredes now, the 1-1, hit sharply into center. Luis Robert under it, and he will make the play. 8 innings thrown by Edward Cabrera, and I think there's an argument to keep him in the 9th inning with how well he has pitched since allowing the home run to Arozarena back in the 6th inning. And the Marlins might need him to with how poorly the offense has played. The Rays are going to go in a different direction. They will make a pitching change. Jason Adam replaces McClanahan, who had an absolutely brilliant performance for Tampa Bay, throwing 7 scoreless. Brian De La Cruz leads off the inning, grounds it to third. Good play by Isaac Paredes, and the Rays are 5 outs away from winning Game 1 of the World Series. Isaac Stu is now up. He's had a quiet World Series debut, 0 for 3, and he rips this one down the line. It's foul. The Rays dodge a major bullet. I thought off the bat in real time that would be fair. Stu works the count up to 3-2, but he grounds out to first as Thaiss makes the play. That'll bring up Luis Robert. He's 1 for 3 today. Now would be a pretty nice time for one of those Robert miracles. And he hits this ball well into right center field, but it is caught by Josh Lowe. 8 scoreless innings for the Marlins offense as we move into the 9th. And Miami is going to ride it out with Edward Cabrera. I would imagine his leash is very, very short. Arozarena rips this one down the line and fair. Tampa Bay opens up the inning with a hit. Arozarena with his 2nd of the game. Edward Cabrera's leash was 1 base runner. He allows the base runner, and his day is done. What a historic performance on the biggest stage in baseball for Edward Cabrera, throwing 8 innings, allowing only 2 runs. A brilliant performance from the MVP and the Cy Young. And unfortunately, it's going to be completely wasted away, most likely, because the offense hasn't done anything all night long. Nonetheless, a brilliant game from Cabrera. He'll be replaced by Griffin Jax. The Marlins definitely are not punting this game away. Griffin Jax is one of their best relievers, and they believe in him to not let the Rays add to their lead here in the 9th inning. Josh Lowe gets things started. He will pop this one up into shallow right center. Luis Robert chases after it. He makes the play for out number 1. I think 2 runs is a sizable comeback. Not that the Marlins have shown they can score 2 runs today, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Arozarena steals second safely despite a good throw by Austin Wells, who has replaced Fortes at catcher. Big opportunity now for Wander Franco, the 2-2. Got him looking on the circle change. Wander, I'm going to need you to take a seat. Wouldn't be the first time he's heard that. That'll bring up Brandon Lau, who launches this ball into right field. If it's fair, it's gone, and it is. Two-run homer for Brandon Lau. And the Tampa Bay Rays lead it 4-0. The Rays are going to double their lead. That is exactly what the Marlins did not want to happen. And now Tampa Bay is firmly in the driver's seat of Game 1 with a massive homer by Lau. Alfredo Herrera nearly strikes out. That should have been called a strike. Count is full now, 3-2. And he's going to dribble this one over to third. Berry makes the play. Throw to first is in time. Not a bad inning, though, for the Rays. They doubled their lead, adding some insurance with a two-run blast by Lau. And we go into the bottom of the ninth with Garrett Clevenger coming into the game. In 6 postseason innings, he has an ERA of 14. He's been abysmal. Now would be a good time to keep that going, don't you think? Jazz Chisholm bloops this one into left. That's going to drop for a hit. Got to start somewhere, right? The Marlins open up the bottom of the ninth with a single. Get your rally caps on, boys. This game is not quite over. Woody Landry now pops this one up. I think he really liked that pitch too, but he got under it, and it will be caught by Wander Franco for the first out of the inning. Bo Bichette now up. Count is 2-2. Bichette, quiet day 0 for 3. Make it 0 for 4. He goes down on the sweeping curve, and it comes down to Jesus Sanchez. Lefty on lefty crime. The Marlins will keep Sanchez in the game. 1 for 3 with a single in his last at bat. And he goes down looking on the slider. The Tampa Bay Rays have won Game 1 of the World Series, and they do it with a brilliant pitching performance as they win it 4-0, and the Marlins get shut out for the first time in all postseason. A rough game offensively for Miami today. They just really didn't get much going. They didn't get a ton of base runners, and when they did, well, they didn't score any of them, obviously. A brilliant performance on the mound for Shane McClanahan. 7 scoreless, he gets the win, while Edward Cabrera gets his first postseason loss of the year. 8 innings, 3 earned runs. I thought Cabrera had a really good game. Tampa Bay's offense was only 3 guys. Arozarena, Lau, and Thais all had multiple hits. They all drove in runs. Arozarena and Lau both went deep. Everybody else on Tampa Bay did not reach base once. Excluding those 3 guys, the rest of the lineup went 0 for 21 today. But it's not going to matter because Shane McClanahan was absolutely brilliant, and the bullpen did a good job as well. We lost this game because of their offense. 2 extra base hits the entire game. Only 1 instance with multiple runners on. No clutch gene. No dog in them whatsoever. And it's unfortunate because we wasted a great pitching performance from Cabrera. I get that he allowed the 3 runs, but we would not have kept him in the 9th inning if we had any semblance of offense. So a rough loss here in Game 1. Now, there's still a lot of World Series left to be played, but I really don't think we could have afforded to lose that game. It was at home with Edward Cabrera on the mound, and now that leads us to a pivotal set of Games 2 and 3 in the next episode. Sandy Alcantara on the mound in Game 2. He's obviously had his fair share of postseason struggles, but we need him to have the game of his life. Otherwise, we'll trail 2-0, and, well, that's not good news. We don't want that to happen. Despite the loss, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.